Good afternoon. I saw this article, and I thought I should probably do a video on it. I'm going to do a little bit more of a deep dive than I normally do on stuff, and we'll just see how it goes. Let's get straight to the article. The headline, home inventory is climbing even faster than this time a year ago. And to me, this isn't like a real big shock. This isn't something to be concerned about because we've had, over the past 2 or 3 years, we've had a great market for sellers, okay? And we're kind of at the end. It's kind of petering out. Now, it's petering out mainly because of affordability, because of, stupid high rates, but they're going to get worse, so maybe we'll see even more inventory in the future. But let's get into it. It says available inventory of homes for sale is on the rise in late September, which is very unusual for this time of year. In fact, inventory is growing faster than this time a year ago. So let's go over that. So just at least in the St. Louis market, from about the end of March to the end of August is when everybody seems to list their house and where everybody seems to move. And then it starts getting slow in September. And then throughout, up until the end of March, things are kind of grim. The stuff that gets sold during this time is usually like estates, is usually job transfers, and, divorce. And the inventory itself, the quality of the inventory, so like move-in ready stuff, not nearly as much. So, basically you look at 5 houses and maybe one of them is a house that you'd actually want to move into at the asking price. That had been true for the longest time up until the last couple of years when things just went crazy. This is a demand-driven slowdown because new listing supply is still running 9 to 10% fewer homes for sale each week than this time last year. We're seeing fewer new sellers each week, but inventory is building as homeowners or home buyers wait to see if mortgage rates will come down to make purchases more affordable. So what he's saying there is that the Fed, through raising the borrowing rate, we're now at about 7.5% on a 30-year fixed. That is causing fewer buyers to come to the market to make purchases. That's the demand of the housing market being blunted by the Fed. Fewer new sellers also means that inventory can't grow too much. The real trouble develops when demand drops and supply surges. And that's what the classic crash is that everyone tells you is going to happen. I don't see a crash. I don't see it. I see a gradual stagnation of home prices, maybe a little drop in home prices over time, but I really don't see this 30% crash overnight. I just don't see it. Fewer new sellers also means the inventory can't grow too much. That's right. The idea is that people are locked in at that 2 and 3% rate and don't want to move. They will not take another mortgage at this level. So I agree with that. Normally by this point in September, available inventory is declining slightly each week. It's late in the summer, so normally new listing volume drops as the last few sales of the peak summer months are concluding. Now, what's interesting to me is this is true for where I live in St. Louis, Missouri. I don't know about Florida. I would think people would buy houses all the time. The weather's great. Maybe not during the rainy season, but again, I would think that they'd always have a robust market. I would think that inventories would stay pretty stable. But it's not true in St. Louis. I do agree with that. The fact that inventory grew by nearly 2% this week and last week is telling of how home buyers are reacting to the highest mortgage rates in over 2 decades. Well, it's kind of simple. Look, if I want to buy a house and what I want to buy is too expensive on a monthly payment, I'm not going to buy it at that level. And as much as I hate that the economy is set up this way with cheap credit in the United States, that's the way it's been. It's been that way since I was born in the 70s. We get by on cheap credit, and when it gets expensive, then everybody's toast. And right now it's expensive, so it's a problem. Then it goes into the pending home sales continue to lag. New pending sales each week continue to run 10 to 15% below last year's pace. If you follow the National Association of Realtors when they publish their existing home sales report each month, you know that the latest report for August showed a sales pace of only 4 million seasonally adjusted annual home sales. So it should not be a surprise that pending home sales have slowed. Okay. given the rates. It also is an unsustainable, I feel like it's been unsustainable for the past 2 years to have the amount of growth we've had in pricing and in payments. Just could not go on forever. And I think now we're starting to see the results of that. We can already see in the NAR data that there are no signs of improvement for the sales count through September and October. The home sales that are in contract now will close mostly in October, and it's not hard to imagine that next month's seasonally adjusted home sales data from NAR will come in under 4 million. So, you know, a lot of people are having fun online showing like how many real estate agents there are per houses listed, and it's ridiculous. And it also shows how many real estate agents there are in the United States. That's also a ridiculous number. As agents, as the supply of homes to sell is less and less, there will be fewer real estate agents. I knew this. I've planned for it. It still hurts the wallet, but I suspect for the next 2 years or so, not going to be nearly as many calls as I fielded in the past 2 years. And that's just the way the economy works, unfortunately. There are now 344,000 single-family homes in contract to close in the next couple of months. That's 14% fewer than last year and almost 30% fewer than September of 2021. Again, it was going to happen at some point. Home sales are limited by the decreased demand, of course, and they're also limited by the very low supply of new listings. You can't buy what's not for sale. And this goes to my argument that was in a video previously that, look, if you're going to build single-family homes for rent, you're not increasing the home supply. Okay, because people can't buy them, they can only rent them. And it does not do anything to solve the supply problem. We've been talking all year about market being supply constrained. Right now, sales are limited by declining demand from still climbing mortgage rates. So that's his feeling. I'm not against it. I mean, the mortgage rates are a problem. Now, I'm not one of those people that says, look, just drop the mortgage rates and everything's going to be fine. I think that there's kind of some structural damage in the economy, and we're going to get hit no matter what. I cannot see the level of credit card debt continuing, especially as they raise the rates, because the credit card payments are going to be more. Plus, student loans are starting this is October, so they're starting again, resuming for thousands of people. That takes money away from the ability to pay credit cards or for new houses or for anything. So it ought to be very, very fascinating to see this unfold. For a while earlier this year, demand was exceeding supply in residential real estate, and you could measure that demand with the price reductions curve improving each week. As mortgage rates lurched over 7% to their new high, suddenly there are fewer offers. I agree with that. 7% seems to be the tipping point. It just seems like once it hits 7, everything kind of stopped. So if you go to 8%, just think it's going to stop even more. And home price reductions are climbing again, with 37% of the market taking a price cut. That's more than any recent year except last year at this time, which is kind of interesting because I don't remember. I think that this is a national number, and I don't think this is a local number. Prices there were not, 37% of the listings did not have a price cut in St. Louis last year. Price reductions are accelerating now, which bodes negatively for future sales prices. Well, I've always said, look, if you're going to list your house, you should price it right. The chances that you're going to get multiple offers are much better if you price it right than if you price it too high. Human nature, though, that greed, it just gets to people, and they want to get the most amount of money that they can. Nothing wrong with that, but they are unrealistic because they only see their house in the marketplace in a particular area, and they're not really well versed in how that house really kind of compares to the others around it. Most of the time, a normal balanced market will have 30 to 35% of the homes for sale that have reduced their asking price in recent months. That's a normal market. And, you know, I still think that's too high. I do. But my philosophy has always been list that thing for what you think it'll sell for and then go for it. And I don't normally have to do price reductions. So it's just, I've never liked pricing things out of reach for the market. I've always thought that was kind of ridiculous. Price reductions are accelerating now, which bodes negatively for future sales prices. But you know, that's sales prices, that's not units sold. So should there be a lowering of asking prices, that will cause more transactions. So we can see more units sold. And again, as a real estate agent, I want transactions. I don't really care about the price. Okay, I want transactions. At the end of the day, I mean, I want my buyers to get the best price possible for the house they purchased, and I want my sellers to get the best price possible for them to sell the house. But if it's $1,000 either way, it doesn't really affect me. It really doesn't. I just need transactions, and so that 4 million number is very, very important to me. Remember, the slope of the line captures how many properties are taking new price cuts every week, and this slope is increasing now. Well, I'm a little bit suspect because, if you I have this house, this in South City that I've seen listed. It finally went under contract today, believe it or not. They've been on the market for 4 months and they've cut the price $60,000. I went through the house. It was a terrible house for that asking price to begin with. The listing agent should have been shot for even proposing that. But I know what happened. That agent wanted to get they were buyers, okay? She wanted to get those people into that home, into that new home, and then not worry about selling their other home. Now they got a $50,000 shortfall at the minimum. We don't know what the house is going to go for. Actually, that's going to be about 30 days from now. So those people are going to be hurt financially by their real estate agent and bad advice. What we see now is that year-over-year price gains are barely positive, and that is showing the issue of supply. The fact that you can have home prices continue to go up with what I would call headwinds of 7% mortgages shows that things are wild. An alternative argument could be that inflation is that 1%, the effects of inflation or your purchasing power. I haven't seen it put out there very often, but you just got to understand how vicious inflation truly is and how bad it has been since I think it was at least, was it 2 years ago? I was saying, this inflation is not transitory. Once you get inflation, it is a hard thing to contain, and it just wasn't great. And the comparison is getting weaker, not stronger, as our current mortgage rates deteriorate. There are fewer offers, and those that do happen are doing at a slight discount each week. Last year at this time, there were big price discounts being applied, so our October comparisons may get slightly easier, but I sure haven't seen any signals of price strength. Now, I did not see big price discounts. I've seen new home builders discount mortgage rates, but I have not seen asking price decreases. And I've not seen, for materials and things of this nature for new construction, the prices of those houses are still high, at least in St. Louis. However, it's important to note that while buyer demand has backed off this fall, there's still no sign of any surge in new supply coming in the market. And it can be very easy to focus on the negative momentum. That's right. Unless you've got supply coming in the market, you can't have prices go down. People on the fence should also know that while their competition is lessening, there's no sign of an inventory flood. That may be an important factor in their home buying decision. So, I showed a house this weekend, already under contract. Most of the time, if it goes under contract the first weekend, it's going to be at asking price or above. Last week, I showed a house that was an absolute dog in Kirkwood, and it had managed to get an offer on the first week. I'm anxious to see what happens with that home because I believe it will go back. I will believe it will go back on the market. It was a dump, and the fact that some agent thought that was a good thing for their buyer to buy makes me question my profession, like you wouldn't believe. So, anyway, with that, I'm going to head on out. What do you think is going on with the housing market? I mean, we've got a little rise in home inventory, and it to me it seems like we're all within the trends. It's not very, out of whack. Things were going to have to come down at some point in time. Prices were going to have to come down, and we're going to be seeing that as we go through the fall and winter of 2023. With that, I'm going to head out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Do me a favor and hit the like button or the subscribe button or share it to your friends because I am interested in getting to 200 subscribers. It would be a mental thing for me and make me happy. I think I'm 17 away right now, and it would just be good to be at 200 on YouTube. Rumble's doing great, and so that's that. Thank you again, and goodbye.